We have a crazy amount of people living on the streets of our San Diego communities. It didn't used to be this way, but few understand how we got to this point. Lost in the confusion, typecast by many, and often misunderstood by those trying to help, are our neighbors at the center of this tragedy. The men, women, and children experiencing homelessness in San Diego. Homeless in San Diego is a podcast that shares their stories, digs into the key issues, and each episode provides our listeners with a clear, easy call to action. Want to truly understand homelessness? Want to help? You're in the right place. Welcome, everyone. We are so happy to have you with us. We are joined by two guests today on Homeless in San Diego. Real people, real stories, two amazing people, Judy Balcevich.
Hi.
And Robert Costantino.
Hey there.
Welcome, Judy and Robert. How'd I do on the last names?
Did great.
Great.
Yeah? Sweet. Thank you for joining us today.
Thanks for having us.
This is the third episode that we're filming, so if you are listeners, if you're listening on your favorite podcast listening device, you can also check us out, and you can see Judy and Robert and myself on the homelessinsandiego.org website or on YouTube or other places that it'll be. And we're excited to have a conversation. Judy and Robert, how did you two meet?
We met at Interfaith.
We were
long time ago.
Yeah, we were both in recovery at the Escondido Community Sobering Services.
How long ago?
That was about 12 years ago.
Okay. Mm-hmm. And you met in recovery, and I think you had graduated, Robert, from the program, and
Yes.
Judy, you were getting close,
ready
right?
to graduate, yes.
And so, do you remember when you met?
Oh yeah, absolutely. We were there for a
love
short.
at first sight.
Oh yeah?
Not really.
No.
No, I had to ask her a few times to give me a call. I wasn't allowed to call into the center to speak with her, so I would come in during the meetings that we'd have there, and I'd ask her, "You ever going to call me?" And she'd say, "Yeah, I'm going to call you." And but I think she was a little reluctant. She didn't know what to make of this crazy, nervous, fast-talking alcoholic, fresh out of recovery.
Because you were the secretary of the Thursday night meetings.
Yep,
at the
Thursday
time?
night meeting. I was a secretary and kept that commitment for a long time. But yeah, that's how we got to see each other.
And the rules of the program, you couldn't call in.
Yep,
So,
couldn't call in.
So yeah, you were SOL until Judy
Right.
gave him a call.
Until I said, okay, I'll call you.
Yeah.
So how long was it that he was?
It was about 3 weeks. He was pretty persistent, and so then we went to the street fair.
That was our first date.
Yeah.
The Escondido.
Escondido
Yeah.
Street Fair. Yeah.
It just happened. I was there 2 days ago.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's kind
On
of our
Grand
anniversary.
Avenue?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Every
okay.
time it comes around. Yeah.
So were you there? It was raining like crazy on Sunday.
Not this last time.
Yeah. I was taking my kids. Where were we going? To the Children's Museum and somewhere else, and I didn't even know it was happening. And we had a good time at the street fair there in Escondido. And so that's kind of your anniversary point,
Right. It is.
And so you met at Interfaith's residential treatment program, which actually is kind of like a phoenix, has risen from the ashes.
It has.
And we're
right.
so happy about that.
Has a new place, and for our listeners, if you've never been to anything that we're talking about interfaith related, here's an invitation. Come and check us out. June 12th, we have an open house in the evening from 5 to 7. You can get the information on the homelessinsandiego.org website. And Robert, I think are you providing balloons for
I
this?
am providing balloons, and if I'm able to, I'd love to say a few words to christen the event with some of my gratitude.
Because you have a real successful balloon business now.
I do indeed. Yep. We've got a company called Balloon Guru, and we provide balloon decorations and bouquets and sculptures all over San Diego County.
Cool. BalloonGuru.com?
That would be the one.
Sweet. All right. You need balloons for an event, hit up Robert. And then, Judy, you have a business, too, that I want to get to as well. But before we get there, let's take a step back. Let's help our listeners understand why you're on the show today. And, what life was like before you met in the treatment program. Judy.
Want to start?
I go first. Well, I started drinking when I was 39 after a divorce we were married for a long time. And
You had never really drank before.
No. I didn't like alcohol whatsoever. And I soon discovered I liked alcohol after the divorce, and it started killing the pain. And it took me down. It took me down faster than anything has ever taken me down. And I just lived a life of existence from then on, going to jail, psychosis, trying to commit suicide, and not really being there as I should for my youngest son. And, it's indescribable how you can be on the top of the world one day and just totally flat on your face the next day and not understanding really what happened. Well, you know what you did to get there. I knew I drank too much, but I was at the point where I couldn't put it down. I couldn't stop. This disease just grabbed me, and I was just spiraling out of control. And so, that's when my sister called around and found Interfaith.
Wow.
Yeah.
You said it took you down quicker than anything. Can you help our listeners understand what life was like maybe a year or two before that all kind of started?
I owned my own home. I worked for 25 years for Napa Auto Parts.
Okay.
And I worked in Solana Beach, and I managed that store. And in a matter of, I'm going to say, a year, I had lost my job due to drinking. I had, my son didn't want to come around. And I couldn't get out of bed. I didn't want to steal alcohol, but I couldn't afford to buy alcohol. And I would just go through these DTs for days and days and days, and I would just crawl on my hands and knees to the bathroom, and I saw no way out. And one night I decided that I was going to drink Drano. And I called 911.
After you drank it.
And that saved my life. And then, of course, I was 5150, and sitting in the hospital.
5150 is a mandated 3-day hold
Yeah.
for someone who's experiencing a crisis where their own life may be at risk, or some sort of harm might come to them. They might hurt themselves or others.
Mm-hmm.
You called 911 after having drank.
Right. I realized,
Drano.
Yes.
What? Why?
Because I didn't want to live in this pain anymore. This pain was something I just couldn't control. And I didn't want to be a burden to my family. I didn't want to be a burden. I just didn't see a way out. I really did not see a way out whatsoever. But as I drank that, I realized, you know what? I don't want to leave my children. I don't want to die. And so I called 911, and the paramedics showed up, and from there it was just all a blur. But
do you remember what it was like between when you realized I don't want to die and when the paramedics got there?
That's why I'm crying. Yes. Because that's just something. It's something I relive. It's something that I don't want to forget. I don't want to go back to, because it was just such despair in my life.
We've had people on the show who have shared their story, and leading up to it, they've listened to episodes, and they didn't know about the show before, and they've made comments that hearing other people share their stories was so comforting to know that others had gone through that. I want to thank you, Judy, for sharing your story and sharing that darkest moment, because I know it will be comforting for others, and maybe provide a spark of hope for somebody who maybe hasn't reached that point yet, or hasn't found a way forward to change their situation and get help.
Well, there is a way out. There truly is. And I'm grateful because of my sister and finding Interfaith. And then through Interfaith and all the programs that were there, and them showing me love and giving me clothes and food, and you know what, most of all, it was a sanctuary where I got to learn all these different ways to maintain my sobriety.
Sanctuary is a really visceral word.
It is.
There's a feeling to it.
I felt at peace. I felt safe. And I hadn't felt safe for a long, long time. And what I mean by safe, it wasn't just a place over my head, although that was important. It was, I got counseling. I got to go to the doctor. I got to take care of me in the process in order to get to the other side. And, and then that led me to the program that I'm in today and sobriety.
And you met Mr. Robert here.
Yeah.
Just the cherry on top.
Cherry
on top of it.
So Robert, when you meet Judy, you had recently graduated out of the program, the treatment program?
Yep, I had. It just been a few weeks, I think. I was coming back for the commitments that I still had there. And
you're a musician?
I am a musician. I'm a singer and a rhythm guitarist in a all-sober band called the Blackouts.
Say that again.
In an all-sober band called the Blackouts. Everyone in the band was a drunk and somehow found their way out.
So is that confusing? Like when you're playing somewhere and you say that you're the Blackouts, and then they find out that you're all in recovery?
I don't think it's confusing. I think it's pretty obvious what the idea is there.
Very cool. Very cool. And you guys just played a show the other night, you were saying?
Yeah, it's Sunday afternoon. We did a big party in Oceanside. It's a blast.
See, that's why you couldn't be at the street festival.
That's exactly right.
Playing a gig. Okay, so and you were a musician long before you entered into recovery, and
right.
And you've told me before that actually that was one of your fears, was that you wouldn't be able to access that part of who you are if you weren't drinking.
Right. Well, drugs and alcohol. I think there's a reason why they call alcohol a spirit. It gives you a feeling that without the alcohol maybe you wouldn't normally have, and there is a certain degree of inspiration that can occur. There's some famous writers and artists and musicians that are known for being notorious drunks, and I clung to that idea that my alcohol was my muse, and I would furiously write into my journals, writing my songs, and I was an artist. And then when I got sober, it did dry up. It dried up, and that was a very, very big fear of mine, was that I had lost, my artistic self, and I was just going to be, just a regular, dry, normal person with a job, and seemed a little bleak, and I was told by countless people around me who had been further down the road of recovery than I had, that don't worry, you're still the artist. It's going to come back. You're going to be able to do everything that you did with drugs and alcohol as a sober person. And at first I was insistent that wasn't true. That was you don't understand kind of a thing. These are my art supplies, and I have to live with it, and please don't make it harder for me to get used to living, without this creative inspiration that I so loved, But to their credit, as it turns out, it took me a little longer maybe than some people, but as the years slowly unfolded, I found myself dusting the guitar off and pulling it out of the case, and buying a new journal, and plucking a few chords, and one thing led to another, and a few years down the road, we started another band, and now I'm having the time of my life.
Very cool.
Just singing and playing my heart out, and they were right. You don't have to have drugs or alcohol to, do the things that you enjoyed in the past and still enjoy them.
And you guys play a lot of shows that benefit programs and benefit recovery, access to recovery, helping other people out too.
That's the primary purpose of the band, is to give back. Is to give back to the, community and that has done so much for us. We're all just, instead of being filled with alcohol, we're filled with gratitude.
There you go.
And we're going to use it. We're we're gonna spill it all over the community.
And
So-
they're really good.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Well, thank
They
you.
really rock.
Awesome. I gotta check it out. I wanna hear you guys
Great.
play.
Yeah, I'd love that.
Do you have any shows coming up?
We do. June 15th, we're going to be playing at Detox Rocks at the Green Oaks Ranch. It's a benefit for the Step House.
There you go. Do we have a website maybe we can link to, or some link? We'll have some
Yes.
information there.
Yep.
Go to homelessinsandiego.org.
I'll be able to get that for sure.
We'll get you how you can hear. You can check out the Blackouts yourself at Detox Rocks. Green Oak Ranch, if you've never been there, is an awesome place in Vista. You said, what did you say? You're not full of alcohol. You're full of
Gratitude.
Full of gratitude. It reminded me, we have a hotline here that you can call in, our listeners, and you can share how you're using our calls to action. You can just share your feedback. And last episode, we shared somebody who is doing volunteer work and how they feel like they're getting more out of it than others. I don't have a hotline. I don't have a voicemail here to share, but you call in if you want to leave a message. It's 760-618-6811. Again, 760-618-6811. But I did get a text message, so you can text us as well at that number from one of our longtime morning meal clients. This is at Interfaith in Escondido. We have a hot, hearty meal that we provide 7 days a week. We also offer access to showers and laundry. It's all provided by volunteers. On the weekends, the volunteer spot coverage is a little less robust. So we've engaged our clients who are there on a regular basis to come behind the line, get trained, and help
great.
with the serving.
That's smart.
So I'm going to get the quote from one of our volunteers who wanted to share, and I thought about it because he said that we don't get paid in dollars, we get paid in joy.
Oh, that's great.
And he said, I'm the richest person alive.
Oh, that's nice. I like that.
So full of lots of good things through this work that we do. But let's back up, Robert. Can you share with our listeners a little bit about your own journey and where you came from? And
So, I was living in Los Angeles, and I was in a band that did rather well for a time. And but along with the success of the band came all the trappings that are sort of cliche, drugs and drinking being a couple of those cliches. And started out as a party, and I don't know where that invisible line was that I crossed over, but there definitely was a point in time at which it became something that I couldn't control, and my drinking increased steadily, and it became an around-the-clock vocation for me. I would wake up in the morning and just, the first thought of my mind was, if I don't have beer, which I probably don't because I drank it all the night before, I've got to get to the liquor store and get some beer. It became, can't take a shower if I don't have a beer with me, can't answer the phone if I don't have a beer with me, and then became tequila. And the drinking just increased progressively to the point where all of my friends and family were very concerned. And I started making up, it started out as little white lies, and those little white lies eventually became just a big cauldron of nothing but lies. Lying about, have I been drinking? How much am I drinking? Why am I getting sick so often? I would, there was one time I was working for this gentleman who thought I was so sick, he insisted, instead of taking me to work, taking me to the hospital. And when we got to the hospital, Long Beach Hospital, who knew that metal detectors could pick up glass? They found the vodka bottle I was trying to sneak in under my waistband. And they told me I couldn't come in with that. So I went out of the hospital because I didn't want to go in without my vodka. And I went back to the car or something. I found a water bottle, and I poured it in a water bottle. And then I went into the other entrance, and then they said, put your water bottle here. They let me in. And I went up to the hospital, and I was actually triaged, and they started putting IVs in me. And there were some there were some people that I thought were much worse off than, physical wounds, and I won't go into the detail, but, I didn't think it was that big of I didn't think I was that bad, but the doctors wanted to hook me up and take me right in. And, I just didn't want to really get help yet. And so I said I had to use the restroom. I got up and I pulled the stuff out of my arms, and I left. And I went back out to my boss who was waiting. And I told him, yep, just like I told you, it's a spot of the stomach flu. And, so it was pretty bad, and I think I was in pretty bad physical shape. My drinking led, to a lower base lifestyle that, caused me to lose all my friends and just about everyone in my life for good reasons. I had no integrity, and I lived a pretty miserable life. The only thing I cared about was, getting alcohol, drugs, using them, and then figuring out a way to get by in between. And
Judy, you didn't know Robert during this time in his life. What are you thinking about as you hear him sharing this part?
I feel sad because, I know how far down it can just take you. And when he shares about, he tells me stories about how he lived in a van, and he would get like a little perspective on life and see kids coming out of a house with their parents and, leading a normal life. And he wasn't leading a normal life. And that's where it just takes us. And it just breaks my heart. He talked about not picking up a guitar for a long time, and he didn't. I had to beg him because he told me he could sing, but I had no idea he can sing. And I had no idea how beautiful his voice is until one day he just picked it up. And now it's like I get this personal symphony in my living room, on a daily basis.
That's very nice. Thank you.
Yeah.
There's this interesting in our society, in our world. There's this and I guess not interesting, maddening thing that I deal with as the person trying to lead an organization that helps people to move forward in their lives, that it's their own damn fault. It's their own damn fault, and people are lazy, and people are this. And one of the things I love about this show is that we get a chance to cut through the black and white kind of tropes to really help people be real people and share their real stories. Because as humans, we're so much more complex than I screwed up and this happened.
Right.
Or it's not my own fault. A brick fell from the sky and hit me on the head and I became homeless. Like, it's never one or the other. Like, we're all these things together. As it relates to addiction, I'm just curious what you think about when you hear that idea of like, oh, it's somebody's fault, or, oh, it's not their fault at all. Like, it's a disease, right? I mean, what?
I think that, I've learned that behind every scraggly, homeless, maybe smelly, street person or homeless person, there's a real human being that has a real story, that has a mother and a father, who loved them as a baby. And I mean, God bless them. There's some that are just dealing with some mental issues that, are probably the primary reason why they're in the situation they are. But as far as, I'll say the rest of us, just the drug and alcohol addicted, you sure don't feel like you're a good person, when you're going through this. If you're lucky enough, as I was, to find a place like Interfaith that literally gave me my life back, you come to realize that, there is a good person that has always existed inside. And, the alcohol and the issues that lead to the alcoholism, which is really a symptom, those underlying issues, are to blame for obscuring, the person that, you're meant to be and that you can be.
There's a saying that I had on my wall for a long time. It says, "The glory of God is the human being fully alive."
Oh yeah,
and it's attributed to some monk somewhere. Who knows if he ever said it? But it came to my head as you were talking about that. Providing a chance for somebody to overcome addiction is about helping somebody to be fully alive.
That's a very good point. Right. It's taking away what isn't them.
And it's not to obviate the need for personal responsibility, and it's not to overemphasize the damage of addiction and sickness, which some people are more just have genetically. But it's really to focus on the human being, and that our work, what we do together, is about helping helping the human being to be fully alive.
And I like that you said, it's not to obviate, a person's responsibility, because to a certain degree, I guess I didn't want to take responsibility until it hurt so bad I surrendered. And I think that's a common denominator in a lot of people's lives, alcoholics' lives. The turning point, that is you have to hurt so bad that you're willing to surrender all of your own ideas. And
on the disease front, that's very similar to, I think, how most people deal with physical health conditions.
True, right. The toothache has to be so bad you finally go to the dentist. Right.
Yeah. What are you thinking about through all this, Judy?
Well, you when you started this, you said how people used to walk by and think, it's their fault. It's their fault. I didn't drink for 39 years. I didn't like alcohol. And in a lot of ways, it kind of resonated with me. I used to think, they can do better. They can do better. But you know what? This disease grabs you and takes you in. And we can't do better. We try.
How long did it take between when you went from homeowner and kind of living a normal life to when you were calling 911 after having drank Drano? 4 years. Oh my God. Mm-hmm. And then how long did it take you to overcome that and get to a place where you felt you were in a healthier situation?
Probably once I hit Interfaith, I made a decision, and truly it was kind of like an awakening. It was like I made a decision, this is it. And I have to take responsibility and save my own life, or I'm not going to make it. I'm going to be that statistic that is going to end up dead. And I didn't want to be that. And then I realized right then, you know what? If I get better, then I can help somebody else, and I can help somebody else, and I can help, that person can help somebody else. And truly, this program that was introduced to me through Interfaith has really just opened my eyes. And I wouldn't have had that if it wasn't for Interfaith.
And what program is that you're?
AA.
Okay. Mm-hmm. And so that's where you're finding this opportunity, this empowerment to continue helping people day after day, week after week.
Right.
And outside of the help that you're providing for other people through AA, you also have your own business?
Yes. Well, we do. I mean,
it's her business.
He doesn't want to say he does soaps.
That's not true. You should be proud of it.
Soaps. All right. Yeah. Tell us about it.
Well, I make handcrafted soaps. I make bath bombs. I make sugar whips. I make all kinds. Yes.
You do bath bombs.
Bath bombs.
Yeah, I gotta
She's
check it out.
the best in the fizness, as we say.
Best in the fizness.
Yeah,
that's funny.
We just did a class, and Robert was my biggest supporter, and we did it down in Kensington, and it was
cool.
so much fun. And
what's the name of the business?
Sun Gold Soaps.
And is there a website?
There is, sungoldsoaps.com.
Sweet. We'll link to it on the podcast website, homelessinsandiego.org. And, we could go so much longer with both of you. Maybe we should. Maybe we can record we'll do another episode sometime.
Be happy to.
Awesome.
And want to invite our listeners to hear now from Robert and Judy what their call to action is today. We always have a call to action for our listeners. Before we get to that, remember, we want to hear from you, our listeners, on what you're doing with these calls to action. So give us a call, hit us up, and leave us a message. Send us a text, 760-618-6811. You'll get a message, and an outgoing message. Let us know what you're doing. We'll share your voice on the show. And now it's a chance for you to learn from Robert and from Judy what you can do to help. So now is our call to action for today.
Well, as tempted as I am to do a shameless plug, I'll tell the truth. And that is, again, the common denominator in my story is my gratitude for Interfaith. You guys you really gave me a chance to live a life beyond my wildest dreams. And so, my call to action would be if there's a way for folks to find out how they can volunteer, to pitch in and help all the different kinds of services that Interfaith Community Services is providing.
Sure.
I would love, that would be my call to action, would be to have everybody who has any extra time or resources available to take a look at Interfaith and see what they might be able to contribute.
Awesome. Yeah, check it out. We'll have links on the website. And if you're not, we're primarily, we have our 6 locations are in North County. We work with a lot of people down here in San Diego, but if you're in other communities, get involved in your community, right? It doesn't have to be Interfaith, but getting involved makes a difference. Are there groups that people could reach out to kind of anywhere? Thinking about the AA, NA network.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So tap into that as a good resource and get involved. Absolutely, it's a huge way to help. And of course, if you want to get involved at Interfaith, we're certainly partial. And we have our big open house event coming up. I mentioned it at the beginning of the show. That's on June 12th. Would love to have you. Just let us know that you're coming. We'll give you food. You'll get to see some awesome balloons from the balloon guru here. We'll maybe even have some fancy soaps and bath bombs, right?
Yeah. So.
Judy, what's your call to action for our listeners?
My call to action is with everything that's going on in this world today is to smile. Be kind. Check on your neighbor. And it sounds so cliche.
I love it.
I know that. But
I love it.
It is. A smile goes a long way. And just, reach out your hand to people. It doesn't matter if they're on the streets. It doesn't matter if they're sitting right next to you. Just reach out,
Like maybe let that guy go in front of you when you're driving.
When you're driving. Don't be in a hurry,
Nice. Reach out, smile. Love, always a good thing.
And kindness.
Kindness. Mm-hmm. Thank you, Judy.
You're welcome.
Well, your smile has totally brightened my day.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah. Like it just so, and I'm so glad that we're filming this episode so our listeners can see your smile. I mean, we've had kind of episodes of the past where we're like, oh, I wish you could see, so and so right now. Mm-hmm. Well, to our listeners, you can see Judy's smile, and you can see what we're doing here, and be a part of coming together to help people be fully alive and to support one another on this crazy journey that is life.
You're right. Crazy journey.
It's the truth.
It is.
Anything that you all want to share with our listeners before we wrap it up today?
I think I'm great. Thanks so much for having us, Greg. You do a great job with this show.
Well, we're so excited to have you. Actually, I didn't even mention that Robert, it looks like you're going to be joining our board of directors at Interfaith.
I'm incredibly honored and excited.
Yeah, we're super excited. He's gone through this really long vetting process that we have, and then he's going to be up for vote at our general membership. I won't go into more details, but if you want to know more, reach out to me. I've given you a phone number a few times, 760-618-6811. Hit me up. We'll let you know all about it. But anyways, yeah, Robert's going to be he'll be one of my bosses. So I'm glad that you've enjoyed the experience today, Robert. You can put it on my next performance evaluation.
Very much so. Thank you, Greg. It's a true honor and a privilege.
It's truly an honor to have you both on the show and for you sharing your journey, your smile. Thank you so much, Judy.
Yeah.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you, Robert, and thank you to our listeners. All right, have a great day, everyone.
All right, bye-bye.
Go out and smile.